When a civilization collapses, it leaves bones. That is an archaeological constant. Burned cities leave ash and bones. Wars leave battlefields and bones. Famine leaves mass graves and bones. The Indus Valley Civilization did not leave bones proportional to its population, and that in itself is a problem official archaeology has never resolved. Between 2600 and 1900 BCE, the Indus Valley hosted the largest civilization of the ancient world, larger than Egypt, larger than Mesopotamia. 5 million people, over 1,000 documented settlements, cities with sanitation, grid urban planning, standardized weights and measures, an infrastructure that would not be surpassed in the West for 3,000 years. And then, around 1900 BCE, everything stops. There is no destruction layer, no evidence of fire at scale, no arrowheads in quantities consistent with invasion, no massacre, no documented violent collapse, only the end. The utensils were left behind. The tools were left behind. Some houses have objects suggesting the last inhabitant simply walked out and never returned. Walked out? To where? That is the question defining all Indus Valley archaeology since the first sites were excavated in the 1920s. And the honest answer, after a century of excavations, is that we do not know. We do not have enough bones for the dead of 700 years of intense civilization. Where are the cemeteries of a civilization of 5 million people? Some were found. At Harappa, the largest site, cemeteries with a few hundred burials were identified. For a city that possibly housed 80,000 people for centuries, a few hundred burials is not a sample, it is a mystery. The hypotheses are many: cremation at scale, but without evidence of cremation at scale; dispersal of ashes into rivers, plausible but unverifiable; burial in sites not yet excavated, possible but unlikely given the volume of excavations conducted. Each hypothesis resolves the problem only partially, none resolves it completely. But the absence of corpses is not the only enigma, it is simply the most disturbing, because the Indus Valley also left no palace. In every excavated city, Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, Dholavira, Lothal, there is no structure identifiable as a royal palace, no residence of clearly superior dimensions to the others, no colossal temple, no identifiable commemorative monument. There is the Great Bath, a structure of probable ritual function, but even that has no clear parallel in other cultures of the period. A civilization that did not build monuments to its kings, because it possibly had no kings. This is extraordinary. It is disturbing in a different way from the absence of corpses, but it is connected to it. A society without clear hierarchy and without visible dead is a society that operates by principles we have not yet identified, and that society governed the largest territorial extent in the ancient world for 700 years. 700 years. No documented war, no documented violent collapse, no identified king, no temple dedicated to a specifically identified deity, only cities, organized, functional, and then silence. Let us look at what we know about the end. Around 1900 BCE, Indus Valley sites begin showing signs of gradual population decrease, not catastrophic, gradual. Brick quality declines, construction standards become less rigorous, streets begin to be encroached upon by irregular buildings, as if the standards holding everything together were being forgotten. The urban centers are abandoned first. Populations move to smaller, rural, peripheral sites. It is a dissolution, not a collapse, a slow dissolution like salt in water. And then where do these peoples go? A hypothesis that has gained increasing scientific support over the past 2 decades points east, toward the subcontinent, toward what would become the cultures we know as Vedic. But this hypothesis has a political problem that has made its investigation extraordinarily difficult. The identity of the Indus Valley Civilization is claimed by modern nations as part of distinct and frequently conflicting national narratives. When archaeology becomes national identity, it stops being archaeology, and the fate of the Indus Valley peoples became trapped in that fragmentation. Let us look at what genetics has recently begun to reveal, because when archaeology stumbles on politics, sometimes biology finds a way forward. Ancient DNA analyses from Indus Valley remains show a genetically distinct population, and that population contributed significantly to the modern South Asian gene pool. This means the peoples did not disappear biologically, they dispersed, mixed, continued as ancestors. But the civilization, the set of practices, patterns, and knowledge that kept everything functioning, that did not survive identifiably. The Indus script has not been deciphered after 100 years of attempts. Over 4,000 seals and inscriptions catalogued, no Champollion, no Rosetta Stone. This means we do not know what this civilization thought about itself. We do not have its history in its own voice. We have the weights, we know they had standardized measures, but we do not know the name of the measuring system. We have the cities, we know they had centralized planning, but we do not know who planned. We have the pipes, we know they had sanitation, but we do not know who maintained the system. We know the what, we do not know the who, the how, and why it stopped. There is a detail that researchers have been mentioning with increasing frequency in recent years, and which remains without satisfying explanation. In Mohenjo-Daro, in the upper layers, the most recent before abandonment, skeletons were found in positions suggesting sudden death without burial. Not in a cemetery, in the streets, in the houses, in positions of falling. There are few of them, very few for an entire city, but they are there. One interpretation, they are the ones left behind when everyone else departed, the too old to walk, the too sick to follow, the ones who chose to stay. What makes this disturbing is not the death, it is the order. The houses were left in order, objects of relative value were left behind, there was no looting, no destruction. Those who flee in panic do not tidy their homes, those who leave with intention do. This suggests a planned departure, an organized migration, a collective decision to leave, a civilization that decided together to go, and went. But to where? The most honest answer remains we do not know with certainty. There is a climate theory that is gaining increasing scientific support. Around 2200 BCE, 200 years before the final collapse, the Indus Valley began to change its climate. The monsoons weakened. The Ghaggar-Hakra River, one of the main water bodies of the region, began to dry up. This river may have been the mythical Saraswati, the sacred river of Vedic texts that disappeared forever. The hypothesis is elegant. The river dried, agriculture failed, the population migrated to where water still existed, to the east, to the Ganges, to where the monsoons still arrived. And in that migration they carried what they could carry, the knowledge, the practices, the myths, the rituals, but not the dead. The dead remained with the river that dried. This explanation has appeal, it has internal logic, and it has a problem. Civilizations do not die of thirst in an orderly fashion. History is full of climatic collapses. They produce violence, chaotic displacement, abrupt social fragmentation. The Indus Valley produced a dissolution, not a collapse. The difference matters. An orderly dissolution presupposes functional authority during the process, someone coordinating the departure, an authority that managed to maintain social cohesion long enough to lead millions of people out of an entire civilization, and then disappeared with everything else. What we do not have about this civilization is as significant as what we have. We have no name. The Indus Saraswati is a modern geographical convention. We do not know what they called themselves. We have no origin myth. Every civilization with writing leaves a narrative of where they came from. They left only symbols we cannot read. We have no deity name with certainty. There are figures on seals that may be deities, may be humans, may be sacred animals, may be kings. We do not know what they worshipped. We do not know what they feared. We do not know what they celebrated.
We have evidence of an extraordinarily well-organized civilization, peaceful in its urban structure, sophisticated in its engineering, of which we know absolutely nothing beyond the material facts, and which disappeared without leaving its dead for us to find. This tells us something. I'm not sure exactly what, but it tells us something. Perhaps it says there was a relationship with the dead different from ours, a way of processing the end that did not require visible burial. Perhaps it says mobility was a value, that there was not enough attachment to a place to leave the dead in it. Perhaps it says they knew they were leaving with enough time to take even the bones of their ancestors. That last hypothesis is disturbing because it implies they knew, that the decision was made far enough in advance, that while still living in the cities they were already planning not to die in them. This is in a way a form of collective immortality, leaving before dying, leaving no trace of an ending.
Leaving no trace of an ending. The civilization that left no corpses may have achieved exactly what all others always wanted and never managed: to continue, in another form, in another place. And the script we have not deciphered may contain exactly that intention, the instruction for how to leave without being found. We do not know, and perhaps we never will. But not knowing here is not failure. It is the most honest way to describe a civilization that refused to be completely read. No bones, no king, no deciphered word, no identified temple. 700 years of civilization and an absolute silence about who they were. Perhaps that silence is the answer. Perhaps the erasure was the intention. A civilization that learned to leave no trace of an ending, that departed whole, that took its dead.